A happy new year to all of you. In today's episode, we are going to do something very different, a thing which we haven't done before. I am going to teach you all how to make lime juice. Keep watching the video, and I will see you on the other side. Now, before we begin to make lime juice, we need to consider as to for how many people we have to make lime juice. For now, I will make lime juice just for myself. So I will require a glass and perhaps a half lemon which I have already cut, a lemon squeezer to squeeze the lemon, water of course, and some sugar. So let's begin. I will first squeeze off the lemon real quickly into the glass, and then we will proceed to add the sugar to it. Now I like my juice to be somewhat sweet, so I will, for the sake, I will just put 1 teaspoon of sugar and I will add water to it. That's enough, maybe a little more. And now it's time to stir the juice. Let's keep this sugar aside first. Let's stir, and the juice should be ready as we talk. So making lime juice is very easy, and so is setting an exposure in your camera. For exposure, you also need to know as to what you are shooting. So let's assume you are shooting a daylight scene. So you'll need to have a specific ISO, aperture and shutter speed. They are the same ingredients which go on to make an image. Just like sugar, lime and water are required for lime juice. But let me tell you, not all exposures are the same. So now here I am making lime juice for myself. But if I were to make lime juice for a small kid in a small glass, do you think this much water will suffice? Let's assume this is the glass in which I want to make the juice. So if I use the same ingredients which I use to make lime juice here in this glass, will it taste, or rather will this glass be able to hold this much amount of water? I am sure it won't be able to, and I hope you feel the same. So the point here I want to make is no two exposures are the same. Suppose I am now shooting at f8 at 1 by 125 at ISO 100, but it might not be the case for you because the light will differ and even your subject will differ. So one can't recommend a particular exposure setting for all of the photographs, and it will always differ, let me tell you. So the point I wish to make is you need to get this exposure triangle, which is a combination of ISO, shutter speed and aperture, right down in your head, and it's very crucial. These are the basics of photography. Without these three, your photograph won't come out good. Now let me try this lime juice for a second. I believe the sugar in this is less, so I can add a little more sugar, perhaps just a tinge of it, and then I can continue making the lime juice. It's the same with exposure. If you find your images coming out to be dark, you can change the exposure by means of aperture, shutter speed or ISO. But let me tell you, if you change one of those, you will need to change the other two. Let's take the example of the lime juice again. Now suppose I add tons of water to this. Will the half lemon suffice in this case? No, it won't. You won't get the taste of lime juice. Similarly, if I add very little sugar to it, it won't taste sweet. So you need to balance these elements properly. Same is the case with the exposure triangle. You need to have a perfect blend of shutter speed, aperture and ISO to make a properly balanced image which is good on the eyes and won't require much post-processing work. I hope you learned a lot about exposure triangle in this video. In the upcoming videos, I will talk separately about aperture, shutter speed and ISO and as to how they affect your images. But for now, let me tell you, these are the foundations of the photography: aperture, shutter speed and ISO. They are the ones which will make or break your photographs technically. The creative side will come on later, but for now, you need to master these three. And till the next time, I will see you again. Take care.